Welcome to Working Dragon Mystic, where we discuss real, metaphysical, and occult knowledge so that you can manifest real and tangible results in your life. This week, we're going to do a video. Honestly, I'm surprised we haven't done sooner. We're going to do a video and talk about the Norse God Thor. Alright? Now, I've been asked many times over the course of this channel why I have not done a video on Thor. And to be honest, I don't know. It is true that through a good chunk of my Norse path workings and stuff like that, that I personally have not worked directly with Thor a lot. And that's always felt a little odd to me. But I have over the years slowly started to work more and more with him. And I actually enjoy working with him anytime I've worked with him. I always have. And he is definitely a prominent figure in Asatru or Norse heathenry. For sure. I mean, his symbol is pretty much the symbol of these practices and paths. Which, of course, his symbol being Mjolnir and his hammer, which you see in this rune circle behind me. And most of you's noticed I do wear one here on my neck. Which, this one, actually, my wife got me for Yule. But there are a lot of misconceptions about Thor for sure. So, thanks to Marvel Comics and the MCU movies and video games such as God of War, Valhalla, or whatever it's called, where it takes place within Norse mythology, there have grown a lot of misconceptions about the god Thor and what he's like. Perhaps one of the biggest misconceptions that we've actually seen is everyone wants to think Thor's blonde. In the Eddas, it's very clear that he has a fiery red beard, red hair. And that does definitely show. Anytime I've worked with him, he has always shown up with that red hair and red beard. Which, I'll be honest, it surprised me because even some of the old imagery from, well, it was after Norse time, but it is older artwork, showed him more blonde. He is not the brother of Loki. Him and Loki are not brothers. They are not siblings in any shape, form, or fashion. He is the son of Odin and a giantess named Jord. He is not Frigg's son. He is Odin's son. He is very well known for his enormous appetite and his ability to drink, as well as being somewhat quick to anger. And he does tend to like to solve problems head on. He does not go in for any of the subtlety and doublespeak and workarounds or avoiding problems. If you want to avoid a problem or try to ignore it for a time, Thor's probably not the guy you want to talk to, because Thor is definitely going to want you to face that problem head on and directly. He is the quintessential archetype of loyalty and an honorable warrior. Sorry about that. It seems everybody wants to make noise now they got the camera on. And this is an ideal and an archetype to which warriors of that time would strive to achieve. Another thing that people tend to forget, he is also very often referred to as the blue-collar god. Now, what do I mean by this? Thor believes in and values hard work. He thinks that that is a good trait. And he wants to see people and his followers work and actually earn what it is that they have and put forth that effort. Now, of course, this was largely farming and other things back in the day. He was the god of the middle and bottom tier of the system which was in place at that time. People from both of those tiers really did worship and look up to Thor. Now, those three tiers would be the nobility, the soldiers, the warriors, the like, and then the common folk and the farmers. That was the basic three tiers. I may do a video on that a bit later to talk more about those tiers. When it came to loyalty and oaths, Thor is hands down. He was the guy. In fact, in the Eddas, we actually see him and Odin quite often butting heads. Odin, for example, would use trickery, just as Loki would. But Thor, anytime the gods would use trickery or whatnot, he did not care for it. He did not like it. If you gave your word, if you made a promise, there should be no trickery. You should keep it. That was just how Thor was. Now, Thor also was the protector of Midgard as well as Asgard. And because of this, Thor definitely is a god of protection. A lot of people call on Thor for his strength and his protection to their family and their community. And that makes sense. That was one of the big things he was known for. Now, one thing I've always had trouble with in the past is how did he get this whole God of Thunder thing? Because in the Eddas, you see him working with farmers, but you don't really hear, a lot talked about how they reached the concept that he's the God of Thunder. But I can honestly say, while working with Thor over the last bit, and working with him and talking with him about this video, I came across some pretty neat things. First off, the name Thor actually would translate to thunder. So technically his name is Thunder. I missed that. That's one of the reasons you got to do some research sometimes and be willing to find things. And I thought that was really cool. And of course, he is most famous for his hammer, Mjolnir. Everyone knows that hammer. And the hammer's name actually translates roughly to lightning, from what I'm finding. I don't know if that's 100% accurate, because my old Norse translations are not good, so I have to go with the information I'm finding, and Lord help us, Google Translate. But it does appear that it does mean lightning. So boom, there it is. The thunder and lightning aspect that people are drawing from is right there, which is great to see. That is great to see, since it has become such a large category of him. And it also makes sense as to why farmers and everybody love Thor. Not just that hard work concept, but he was also a sky god, a god of weather, which is all about agriculture and farming. It's, it really starts to tie in when we start doing our research and we understand Thor's a very complex figure from the way he's painted. A lot of people just look at Thor as a fool, an idiot, a brute who just smashes problems with a hammer. He is not. He is not. Yes, he can be quick to anger, but he can also control his anger. That's another thing people often miss about Thor, is he is in control. He can control his anger. He knows his strength. He knows how to apply it, when to apply it. And he is a very skilled warrior in this method. In fact, if you can't control your strength, your temper, and your emotions, you're not a good warrior. So Thor would, by and large, be useless at that point if he could not. He is said to ride in a chariot pulled by 2 goats. In some of the stories, he will actually kill the goats and feast upon them and share the meat with travelers, and resurrect them using Mjolnir every morning. Which I think is a pretty cool concept, because it's not really a power that Mjolnir's known for when he gets it. First off, let's go ahead and clear that up, by the way. Odin did not craft Mjolnir. The dwarves did. Also, Mjolnir does not have this weird mystical power where only Thor can wield it. That is a Marvel Comics thing. Anyone can pick Mjolnir up, and it has happened quite a bit. Mjolnir has been stolen before. So yeah, that is an entirely Marvel thing. Mjolnir was a very powerful hammer. Yes, but it did not have many of the powers that we see in the comics, especially the whole only one person can pick it up. It is true, though, that in the myths, Thor does wear a belt that also further increases his already impressive strength, which adds to his ability to wield Mjolnir in the manner that he does, where he defends Midgard and Asgard against giants. Now, I also want to point out, while we're talking about Thor, he is very well known for being a giant slayer and defending Midgard and Asgard against the Jotun. And the Jotun are the enemies of the gods. Not really. Not all Jotun are the enemies of the gods. That is also a misunderstanding that we see, and a misunderstanding that we see with Thor. People think Thor cannot see a giant without attacking it. That's hogwash. First off, Thor's mother, Jord, is actually a Jotun. She is a giant. She is Mother Earth, essentially. As are many of the other gods we know, like Skadi. Giants and the Aesir and the Vanir did interact, and they were on peaceful terms in many situations. Yes, they were also enemies on many situations, but they were also on peaceful terms. Thor attacked and defended against the ones that were a threat. They were enemies. That needs to be pointed out. As many of the gods took giants as their life partners. We did touch a little bit on the fact that he had a place over agriculture, not just warriors, and as a defender of order. Yes, he liked his order. But he was also a god that would be present with in considerations of fertility, which makes sense when we're talking about the fertility of the land, things growing. But one thing I think people forget is his wife Sif. Her golden hair in the myths is very, very symbolic of fields of grain. So again, their marriage itself is part of the agricultural symbolism. And ties that second and third class of the structures together very solidly. Now, me personally, that's more or less, summing up some facts about Thor very quickly. Now, I've enjoyed working with Thor. I have found him to be very easygoing, very fun-loving, great to work with, sit down, chat with. Honestly, if anyone's met that individual in their life, you can sit down, have a drink, or go grab lunch with, and you're just going to have a good time. They're a lot of fun, no matter what. He kind of reminds me of that big, fun-loving, just nice, big-at-heart biker. Looks scary, but he's just a wonderful person to be around. And they got your back, and you can trust them. They're good to their word and honorable through and through. That really is how Thor comes off very, very much to me. And I've always enjoyed working with him. Now, it is true, I love working with Odin. I do know Odin can be tricksy. I do know Odin and Thor butt heads sometimes because of the way that they will... One likes to use tricks and manipulation. The other one is head on. But they also show that two different people of different views can get along very, very well. Yes, it is true, Odin and Thor are father and son, but they do still work together and get along, even though they have very differing points of view. Now, I do kind of lean more toward Thor than Odin when it comes to my word. If I give a person my word or make a promise, I'm not going to be the one to break that promise. If they break that promise, that's on them, but they can guarantee I won't trust them again after that, period. So I am very much like Thor in this aspect. And I do drastically believe in facing problems head on and not running from them in any way. Though, I will say, I do kind of agree with Odin that you can use subtlety to handle those problems just as well as you can use force. I think both methods have merit, and that's one of the reasons I do enjoy working with these two. They both understand the merits of these two directions. Thor has been known from time to time to use subtlety to get something done. It's not his favorite, it's not his preferred way, and he usually comes off a little annoyed when he does it, but he can do it. But as far as working with him, I've really enjoyed it. He's great for anything to deal with strength, anything to do with health, anything to do with honor, protection. If you're having to deal with threats or enemies in your life, Thor can be magnificent to help. I know a lot of people who work with Thor because they're working out, they're trying to improve their health and get back in shape. And Thor is a great aid to doing this. He's a great motivator. So they will work with Thor as they're also going through their gym routine or whatever they're doing because of Thor's strength. He's very, very good. He can help them get those gains and even push that little bit further, which is a great way to do it. That said, one thing I will say about Thor that I find very interesting is when you hear him described, a lot of people want to picture Thor with the 6-packs, the 8-packs, the full abs and all this. And honestly, a lot of artwork also shows him this way. But if you look at the myths, if you look at the way he's described as being broad, barrel-chested, very strong in stature. So I would actually argue that he would actually be more inclined to a strong man, no abs, just the rounded kind of physique, than he would the six-pack. I really do. And I'll be honest with you, that is how he's always appeared to me too. Which I have to confess, I was guilty the first time I saw him show up in that barrel-chested manner, because I myself was expecting more of a six-pack, chiseled ab strength kind of build on him. But he has never shown the ab look anytime I've been working with him. There are people I know who said he has done that from time to time for them, so it's a form he can choose. But I would say that it's more accurate to say he probably doesn't do the abs that much. More often than not, you're looking at a barrel-chested person that is described in the Eddas with fiery, fierce eyes, big, unkept beard, red hair, the likes. Another great place to call on Thor, and this is one that I think is overlooked a little too much, is just courage. Oftentimes in our lives, we run into problems. We get hit with something that's really stressing us, it's really weighing us down, or we're just afraid of what may happen, and we need that strength and that courage to just push through. Our own emotions, our own fears are really what's getting in our way here. Thor is known for his unparalleled strength and courage. And you can call on Thor and work with him for that strength and that courage to get you through those hard times in your life and that stability. One thing that I have found a lot of people do call on him for, and I think this is great, anxiety. A lot of people who have anxiety love to work with Thor because that strength and that courage really helps to build them up and believe in themselves, which helps to overcome that anxiety to an extent. Now again, anytime you're dealing with something that could be something you need to see a doctor, you should, because some depression and anxieties, they need to be treated. So, but Thor is a great aid into these things as well. A lot of people think, oh, I'm too mousy, I have too much anxiety, I can't work with Thor. He wouldn't want anything to do with me. Wrong-o. Thor would absolutely love to work with you and spend time with you to get to know you and to help build you up. He really would. He would like to help you see your strength. And I think that's an amazing trait of this particular god. I honestly look forward to working more with Thor. Now, many of you know that as part of my year's goals, I am doing a Norse path working, and I'm also trying to get back in shape. Thor is definitely a god I've been working a lot with in getting back in shape, and he has been a huge help. He's not only helping me stay on track with my weight loss goals, but also my getting back into working out and getting building up some more muscle tone and stuff like that. I've really enjoyed working with him. He's also been able to just keep me focused in other areas that I'm dealing with, because there's a lot of craziness going on in the world, right? We all got questions, we all got things happening, and he's been a really good individual to talk to for me, because he does understand that whole honor, loyalty, and sticking to your word, and to the letter of your word. And it's nice to have an individual who so clings to that I can sit down and talk to, who can also help me understand the larger picture of things that are going on, and how there is still very much a place for this kind of ideology, this honor, and this loyalty in the world. And if anything, it's drastically lacking. Both me and Thor do think that loyalty and honor, and I guess you could say more of the traditional warrior values, is drastically lacking in the world today, and that's really sad. As is self-sufficiency and a pride in hard work. Hard work almost has become a dirty word, which is something that definitely seems to anger Thor. He does not like the fact that hard work itself seems to be a dirty word anymore. And that is sad. I'd actually think I'd like to see what he thinks of the show Dirty Jobs. I don't know if any of y'all have seen that show, but I would actually love to see what he thinks about that, because that did kind of showcase and spotlight and show pride in hard work. So that would be kind of neat to get his opinion on. I may do that at another time. But those are values and things that Thor does believe should be brought back into the world. And those are topics perhaps for another day. But I would definitely encourage you to reach out and get in touch with Thor. We do have a video on the hailing rite. The hailing rite can easily be utilized to reach out to Thor, make contact, and do some meditation with him. And perhaps we'll do a video more specifically on a hailing ritual for Thor if you'd all like. If you do, drop that in the comments below. Let me know. Also, be sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you are notified anytime we release a new video. Well, this video is already getting long, so I'm probably going to do a second video on Thor later. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's helped you to understand a little bit more about Thor. And until next time, I'm Drake, and this has been Working Dragon Mystic. Take care. Bye-bye.